Welcome back, everybody. How's it going, Patrick?
It
How's
is
it going?
going.
That's good. That's good news. I'm glad to hear it. So, given our track record, we were going Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2. So we're doing Spider-Man again, right?
Kind of.
Actually, yeah. Oh my god. This one has a prefix, though. So, this game was announced not too long after Spider-Man 2 came out. I think it was like maybe the beginning of 2005 this was announced.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're making an Ultimate Spider-Man game? Really? Because the comic was relatively new at the time. I think.
About 3-4 years old at the time. I'm trying to remember
so
when it started.
So it wasn't all that old. And they showed it off, and it was a very different looking game for a Spider-Man game at the time, because this was the first one that really embraced that comic book art style.
Yeah, and for good reason.
Yeah, because Spider-Man 1, the first movie game, looked like the movie. Spider-Man 2 looked like the movie. So, but they wanted to go back to a more comic style fun. There was one big change that they added to this game, which we'll get to in a little bit, that makes this very different from any other main Spider-Man game. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Anyone who's played this game knows exactly what I'm talking about. But Patrick can confirm this better than I can. This is a direct sequel to... Which issue was it of Ultimate?
It's the Venom 5-part story that happened in... I think it was like somewhere in the 40s of the original Ultimate Spider-Man comic run. Because this game's plot was written by Mark Bagley, who was the first main writer for the Ultimate books for a long time.
This game kind of started a trend with Spider-Man games where, and this happened 3 times, where Venom was a central focus.
Yes.
Because you have this, Spider-Man 3, and then Web of Shadows, which are all very heavily focused on Venom.
Yeah.
But go back to what you were saying.
Yeah. So he wrote the Venom storyline, the Ultimate Venom storyline, and he wrote this game's plot as a direct sequel to that, with the intention on this story being written into the Ultimate Spider-Man comics canon. I don't know if they were going to just straight up adapt the story into the comics, but they never got around to it because he ended up leaving the book after a while. And to jump into the plot synopsis here, the game starts with you fighting Venom on the football field, and it kind of goes over how he found the black suit and its origins and everything, and the scene where he's fighting Venom on the football field in the rain. And
that shot is directly taken from that comic.
The whole opening tutorial boss fight is the final issue of the Venom arc in the Ultimate books, just put into the video game.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was kind of your way of confirming that, yeah, this was meant to be in canon with the Ultimate books.
So, starting the game off, Spider-Man sort of beats Venom, but not really. Not even Spider-Man, Peter, because he fights him as Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really beat him. He fights him, and then Venom steps into a electric cord, and Peter just kind of assumes he's dead. Never once is he referred to as Venom. Not once.
Yes.
Was that in the comic too? Did they never call him Venom?
Venom and Carnage, because we'll get talk about Carnage later, but those two were never addressed as Venom or Carnage in the Ultimate books.
Really? Okay.
We just know them as Venom and Carnage because that's who they are.
Yeah, but like in game, everyone calls Venom Eddie.
Yeah.
He's just Eddie. So after this, it jumps a few months, I want to say.
Something like that.
And Peter's just doing Peter Parker Spider-Man things. And what was I going to say? So he's just busy doing Peter Parker Spider-Man things. And runs into, once again, in another Spider-Man game, the 4th time in a row, the Shocker.
Yeah.
But Shocker's a joke in this game.
Yeah,
To the point where
Ultimate Shocker was a dweeb.
to the point where he just becomes a regular enemy later in the game anyway.
Oh
Like,
yeah, he does. Yeah,
you can just see him. But he beats up some thugs, does some things. I'm trying to think if there's a major boss fight coming up. I think Rhino is the first one.
Yeah, Ultimate Rhino.
Who he looks like a Thunderzord.
Yeah, you remember that stupid Rhino at the end of the second Amazing Spider-Man movie?
That's this.
That's literally what Ultimate Rhino is. It's a dude in a big mech robot Rhino suit.
It's kind of funny because he's a little dweeb.
Yeah, that's Ultimate Rhino for you.
But then there's a big bait and switch. Because at the beginning of the game, when Venom steps into the electric wire, you see Adrian Toomes call somebody saying he sees the suit. Because for those of you who don't know, Ultimate Venom is not an alien symbiote.
Yes.
He was created by Peter Parker and Eddie Brock's fathers as a cure for cancer.
Yes.
And I don't know why it turns into a monster, but
I can't remember off the top of my head because it's been a long time since I've read the story.
Did that have to do with Peter? Because Peter wore it first.
Yeah, he found the suit after he discovered what they were working on and then wore it. And then when he found out what it was, he got rid of it because it started making him more monstrous.
I think it was turning him into Venom.
Yeah, and then when Brock found out that Pete was Spider-Man and that he stole the suit, he saw that as like a betrayal of trust. So when Peter got rid of it, Eddie went and got it to get payback.
And then he became...
Yeah, that's how he...
Yeah,
and in case you're wondering, yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man kind of merged the 616 and Ultimate Venom storylines together.
Oh, did they actually?
Yeah, because the symbiote is a symbiote in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, but the whole thing of Pete got the symbiote, him and Eddie were best friends since they were kids, and then Eddie got the symbiote as payback for betraying his trust. They merged the two together in that cartoon.
Because in 616, Peter Parker and Eddie Brock, they're not friends. Oh.
No, Eddie Brock actually doesn't show up until issue 300, which was Venom's first appearance.
That's funny, actually.
Yeah, and then they info dump his whole origin story on you in one issue.
Good job, guys. But this game now does a bait and switch. There are a few times, I won't say a lot, because you play as Spider-Man the majority of the game. You control Venom. You actually do play as Venom in this game.
Yeah.
And he plays like the Hulk. With tentacles. Is the best way to describe him.
Yeah. I keep describing this as, if any of you have ever played Hulk Ultimate Destruction, that's kind of similar to this.
Well, because Ultimate Venom doesn't have Spider-Man's powers.
No, he doesn't, because he doesn't adapt his powers like the symbiote one did in the main continuity.
So he's just kind of a big brute, which is fine. It's not 616 Venom.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. This actually, the movie Venom is more like this Venom in power set.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rant for another day. But for some reason, he ends up fighting Wolverine?
Yeah, this game has some cameos in it.
Yeah, Venom beats up Wolverine for some reason. Could 616...
Huh?
Could 616 Venom beat Wolverine?
Well, Venom and Wolverine don't like each other, so they have fought a lot.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. I can vouch this from my dad. Venom and Wolverine hate each other in the main continuity.
Oh, all right. Well, that answers that question.
Yeah.
But then it switches back to Peter, who God, it's been a while since I played this game. What happens next? Because there's Rhino. Does he fight Venom again, or is that later?
He fights him at the museum on the rooftop.
Because you fight Venom 4 times.
Yeah, you fight him on the rooftop, and then
But,
Nick Fury comes in, and Nick Fury's all over the place.
But it's never the other way around. You're never Venom fighting Spider-Man. It's always
No.
Spider-Man fighting Venom.
Yeah.
You never play as Venom and beat up Spider-Man. That would have been kind of cool, actually. But it never happens that way.
No.
The big point of this game storyline is S.H.I.E.L.D. wants the symbiote. Or Bolivar Trask wants the symbiote, I should clarify. Why? Because he's a dick.
You know what's funny about this?
What's that?
Bolivar Trask is an X-Men villain in the main continuity.
Yeah, I know. So why is he here?
Yeah, he's the creator of the Sentinels.
So why does he want?
I know he created the Sentinels and Master Mold. So I don't know why he's after the Venom suit here, but
was Bolivar Trask in the Ultimate Comics?
Well, there were Sentinels in the Ultimate Universe, but I'm not sure. Because this game was meant to be the first appearance for a handful of characters in the Ultimate Universe.
I think Beetle was one of them.
Beetle, Silver Sable, and Carnage.
Yeah, that's right. This was the first appearance of Carnage.
Yeah. Because
we'll get to him later because
yeah, when Ultimate Carnage actually showed up in the book, that was after Bagley left, and they did something very different with Ultimate Carnage.
But Peter ends up fighting. I'm trying to think of all the bosses. Green Goblin's in here.
Yeah, Ultimate Goblin. There was Venom has to fight Beetle. Spider-Man has to fight Beetle.
Venom has to fight Electro.
Oh yeah, the fight in Times Square. Yeah.
Venom fights Electro. So they both fight Silver Sable.
Yes.
Human Torch shows up as a cameo for a race.
You can race him, yeah. Which are brutal. Those races suck.
Oh my God. Venom, just to clarify, Venom has nothing to do in the open world. Like, you only travel the open world as Spider-Man. Venom is strictly for story missions. If you beat the game, you can go throughout the world.
Yeah, you can open world with Venom, and he does have his own races, but the big appeal is that he has this built-in survivor mode thing where if you start destroying stuff, the military will come after you.
Oh, that's pretty cool, but we'll talk about that in a minute. After Peter fights Silver Sable, Venom grabs her and is like, "Hey." Venom fights Spider-Man again, and then Peter and Venom both get captured.
Mm-hmm.
And then Carnage. Carnage is there. We'll get to who he is in a second. That boss fight was nuts the first time I fought it. Like, I think that was the boss that gave me the most trouble the first time I played this game, was Carnage.
I think the main reason for me was the door opening puzzle.
Yeah, because Venom has to pry that door open.
Well, it's also that it's one of those things where the sweet spot is in the middle of the meter, so you kind of have to balance doing it quickly and slowly, and it's very janky.
Yeah, it is. And on top of that, Venom has a mechanic that I hate, whereas the suit is eating Eddie alive. So he's constantly losing health.
So you have to eat people.
My favorite thing about that is in Venom's first mission, the balloon kid, Venom fucking eats him, and it's the best thing.
Yeah, I'm almost convinced that was a funny jab to Spider-Man 2.
Oh, it was. It absolutely was.
Because those balloon missions in Spider-Man 2 were pretty infamous at the time.
So many people complained about that. They were like, all right, Venom can kill the kid.
Yeah.
Okay. Venom defeats Carnage, eats him, and then spits out Peter Parker. I guess there was still leftover DNA of the suit in him, and when they did experiments on him, he turned into Carnage. I think is what happened. It's been a while since I played.
Sure, they didn't really explain that.
It was just all of a sudden Peter Parker, and now Venom looks a lot cooler because he has the white spider symbol on it.
Yeah.
And Venom goes to kill Bolivar Trask, Peter gets his suit back. He's like, "No, I'm gonna stop him." And Silver Sable gets away. He's like, "Really, really?" And Silver Sable's like, "No, my contract with him expired 10 minutes ago. You're good." And then we have the final boss fight, which is against Venom for the fourth time. The final boss is Venom again. Okay. And this time, no argument, Spider-Man does defeat Venom. Knocks him out cold, actually.
Yeah, that final cutscene where he just busts his jaw is pretty fun.
I didn't think Ultimate Peter knew how to fight. Really? So, okay.
Yeah, he's not as skilled as 616 Peter because he's still 15 in most of the early Ultimate stuff.
Yeah, 15-year-old Spider-Man has to fight Venom. Oh, God. If 616 dealt with Venom that young, he'd probably die.
Probably, because he had trouble with Vulture when he was that young.
Yeah, and Venom, who's a lot more of a threat than Vulture.
Yeah.
But Eddie gets away. Bolivar Trask is in a golf course prison. Venom finds him and kills him. And Peter is scared that he's still out there. And that's about it.
Finn. The end.
To be fair, I did find the story to be a lot more fun than the previous two games.
Well, it's
probably because
it was
original
written by the guy who was writing the Ultimate books at the time.
The voice acting is actually pretty solid. The guy who does Spider-Man does a pretty good job capturing that character.
He's also Mac from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Dude, when I found that out, I was like, "Oh my god!" I don't know who does Who does Venom?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with this game's voice cast, so I couldn't tell you.
But everyone fits the part really well. If you're a stickler for 616 Venom, you're not gonna like this game. I'm telling you that right now.
No. Yeah, this game is strictly Ultimate. So if you're not familiar with the Ultimate lore, then a lot of this stuff might confuse you.
Yeah, it's because Venom is not two beings sharing a body. Yeah. That thing is just a suit.
Yeah.
Everyone's Spider-Man generally looks like Spider-Man, but Nick Fury's black in the comic, in the Ultimate comic, which is where they got the movie inspiration from. Silver Sable's a little different. Is Black Widow in this game?
No.
No, I don't know why I'm thinking that. Electro looks a lot different.
Yeah.
Rhino's a big robot. The Green Goblin looks like the Hulk.
Yeah, Ultimate Goblin is ridiculous. He's just a big...
Yeah, he is.
He's meant to be like an actual goblin, and he's on fire.
Yeah, he is. But in terms of the story, the pacing is actually pretty well done. It's a lot of fun. It's very comic booky. And honestly, it's better than the last two games for the story because, well, those are adapting movies with a much lower quality script. So, whereas this is wholly original.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in terms of the gameplay, I think I mentioned this in the last video. I didn't play Spider-Man 2. So this was my first open world Spider-Man game. So I feel about this game the way Patrick felt about Spider-Man 2. This was my introduction to open world Spider-Man. And it has a smaller world than Spider-Man 2 did, admittedly.
Not particularly.
I don't know.
It does have Queens as a accessible region that you can go to. I think the Manhattan map is about the same size.
Oh, really? It feels smaller to me.
No, I think it's bigger. I think it's bigger.
Oh, okay. Also, I think this game looks a lot better than Spider-Man 2.
It's stylized.
Yeah, exactly. Spider-Man himself doesn't have as many movement abilities. And that's probably because this is a younger Spider-Man. So it makes sense from that perspective, because Ultimate Spider-Man is younger than movie Spider-Man.
Yeah, but also from like a gameplay perspective, this is technically the sequel to Spider-Man 2. And
it's true.
One of the reasons why I don't particularly care for this game as much is because it feels like the traversal and combat took steps backwards.
I think there's a reason for that, and it's because they wanted to have 2 playable characters this time.
I don't know what Venom would have to do with gimping Spider-Man.
Budget constraints.
Maybe.
And one of their ideas was they wanted you to play from a villain perspective. And I guess Venom was the choice they went with. I mean, okay. Now, Spider-Man, the swinging is not as involved as Spider-Man 2 was.
No.
It's very automated. He still needs to connect the buildings, and you can climb the webs now, which is pretty cool.
But it doesn't make up for the lack of the charged jump release thing that 2.
You don't have a charged jump. You can't do 2 web swings.
Yeah. And it's a lot slower because you don't have the boost.
However, I do feel like the combat feels less clunky in this one.
It's less clunky, but you're also relegated to just basic punch and kicks. There's no different web combination. And one of the things I really hate is that when you knock an enemy out, you have to web them to the ground or also get back up.
Yeah, you have to web them this time, yeah.
In some of the more intense combat sequences, that's just... It makes things overly complicated for no reason.
It's just, let's make it more like Spider-Man. Venom doesn't have to do that.
No.
Well, because I also think Venom's killing people.
Probably.
But there's a lot of differences between the two. It's not just Venom's not just a bigger Spider-Man. They have a lot of differences.
Yeah.
Venom, instead of a web power, has tendrils, and he eats people.
And he doesn't web swing.
No, because if you do the right trigger or R2, whichever, Spider-Man web swing. Venom just jumps.
Yeah.
And get used to that, because you're going to need it to be some of those chasing.
Yeah, it's not terrible for traversal.
No, but it's not as graceful as the web swing either.
No, it's not.
Venom also doesn't run on walls. He climbs them like an animal. So he'll dig his claws in the buildings and run up. Something this game does bring back is alternate costumes. Getting them is a nightmare.
Yeah,
but you could do it. The best one in the game is the last one you get, and by that point, you have nothing to do.
Yeah, because you have to 100% the game, and 100% of this game, just like Spider-Man 2, is brutal.
Oh my god!
Because just like we never talked about this in the video last time, but there's races in both games. The races in Spider-Man 2 were unnecessarily strict. In this game, they're very tight with the window of, because they're timed, obviously.
Yeah.
But I swear his mobility options aren't fast enough to handle some of these.
No, you need to do those chase sequences or those races with Human Torch to get your speed up, or you're not going to win these things. No. And those are a nightmare too, because Human Torch moves like Sonic. So,
yeah. But there's also some of the later Human Torch ones where you have to scale buildings while you're racing him up, but they expect you to do the web climb thing, but it just doesn't work the same way as the charge jump release from the second game. So it just it feels like that those mechanics were supposed to be in this game, but they took them out for some reason.
To make the game artificially harder.
I guess.
I don't know, dude, because the main campaign is actually pretty freaking easy. If you just want to play the story, you're going to get through this game no problem.
Yeah.
However, if you want to do all the combat challenges, all the races, getting all the costumes, this game is going to make you want to throw your controller through a window.
Oh, the combat challenges in this game it just exaggerate the issues with this game's combat, because in Spider-Man 2 you could just counter spam everybody, but he doesn't have a counter attack in this game.
No, you have to jump, throw webs, and hope.
Yeah, so the best way to handle things is to do the jump attack, which isn't as good as it was in Spider-Man 2. But then when you knock somebody out, you have to web them to the ground. And because there's like so many enemies around you, you'll get pot shot, and every time you get hit, it resets the webbing. Like it's not like some games where you just partially web them. No, you have to do it all in one move.
You got to boom, boom, boom. Wait for the web symbol to appear above their head, and then web them up.
Yeah.
And when you're in the middle of the combo, it's like,
yeah. That's what I'm
now,
saying.
granted,
It feels like this game's missing some mechanics.
It is. Now, if you are anything like me and you don't give a crap about the side stuff, and you just do the story mode, you're probably going to like this game a lot more.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, 100%ing this, Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3, I don't think are worth it.
No, they're not.
Like,
especially in Spider-Man 2, where you literally get nothing.
No, you get nothing for it. This one, at least you get a costume. But if you had a new game plus, I think it'd be a lot more worth it because you could play through the game with the black suit. But also, Venom doesn't have any alternate costumes. It's just for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Venom, to my knowledge, has like nothing worth it.
No.
Because once you beat the game, you can free roam as him, but most of the stuff you're going to want to free roam as is done as Spider-Man. So, why?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Venom has a slight alternate costume. He has the web symbol when you beat. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, when you beat the game, he gets the Venom spider.
Which, I mean, that's cool and all, but what am I going to do with him at that point?
You can play a watered-down version of Hulk Ultimate Destruction, because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
And if you've never played Hulk Ultimate Destruction, it's a good game.
I have not played that.
If you've ever played the Prototype series, it was done by the same people. It's basically the Prototype to Prototype 1, but with Hulk. It's a good game.
If you like the Prototype games, go for it.
Yeah, it's a really good. It's so underrated though, because nobody talks about it. But everybody who has played it, we know.
I think that was until Batman Arkham Asylum. That was the highest reviewed copy.
Yeah, because it's genuinely that good.
And nowadays, maybe Hulk needs another go at a game.
Oh, he does. If you make it like Hulk Ultimate Destruction, do that in the modern generation, that game would be unbelievably good.
Now, back to what I was saying. Part of the reason why I love this game as much as I do is because I don't do the side shit. I think it's fucking pointless because you don't get any satisfaction for it. It's frustrating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think the main scenario, the main game, actually pretty solid. Whereas Spider-Man 2, the main game just felt like a watered-down version of the movie. And maybe I'd be singing a different tune if I played Spider-Man 2 first. But I didn't.
I mean, plot-wise, yeah, Ultimate is better.
I think production value-wise, Ultimate's better too.
Yes, it is. But gameplay-wise, I just think Spider-Man controls and flows better in Spider-Man 2 than this game, because he feels so slow in this game.
He does feel a bit slower.
Swinging and everything. And then, personally, I don't like the Venom stuff. I've never been a fan of the Venom stuff. And it feels like, when you play through Arkham City and then you get to a segment where you have to play as Catwoman and you don't want to play the game anymore.
It's like, oh, I want to be Batman again.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel when I get to the Venom parts.
That's how I feel that way every time in Arkham City.
Yeah.
And you have to play as Venom a lot more in this than you play as Catwoman in Arkham City.
Yeah, but Venom is such a droll in this game. Like, it feels like that they just did it just so they could say, hey, look at this, we can let you play as Venom. It felt like it was shoved into the game as an afterthought. But then again, most of this game feels like it was rushed in some way.
It's like they made a game to get a game out because Activision demanded it.
Which is weird, because other things, about this game, it's actually probably more polished than Spider-Man 2 is.
It's a lot
mechanically,
more polished than Spider-Man.
but it feels like just gameplay mechanics. It feels like a step backwards in most ways. So
I personally don't think the combat's as clunky, but there's also not as much to it.
yeah, it's the enemies are more demanding, and Spider-Man's combat options are a lot more limited. So
I also think the bosses are better in this game than Spider-Man 2's were. That might just be me, but I think the boss fights are
50-50. I don't think the bosses in either game are that great, to be honest with you.
I think the final battle in this is a lot better than the final battle.
If you don't web ox arms to the ground, it's a lot more fun.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, literally. You just it turns into a high intensity DMC fight at that point because you're punch dodge punch dodge. It's a lot more fun than.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. But this is one of those, I see both ends of the spectrum where people like Spider-Man 2 more and people like Spider-Man Ultimate Spider-Man more. I've seen both sides. It's almost dead.
Yeah.
Like, it's down the middle. Like, so I have never seen it edge. I've never seen one edge out the other.
Well,
so
that's what happens when two games very similar to one another come out a year apart from one another.
Yeah.
People
and with this video, these two videos represent that perfectly. One person preferred Spider-Man 2, one person prefers Ultimate Spider-Man. So,
but honestly, I don't think the debate is really that big of a deal anymore because there's just games that just do the open world stuff better.
But to say there are better Spider-Man games.
The next game we're talking about is not one of them. But
oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a sequel to this game on the DS, actually.
It was a prequel.
Was it a prequel?
I think it was a prequel.
Battle for New York, I think it's called.
I never played it.
I think it's Green Goblin instead of Venom.
This game did have a DS port too, by the way.
Was that any good?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Could you still be Venom?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
And it was a little bit cool in how it did it sometimes because it was a level-based game, obviously. There were some levels that were Spider-Man, there were some levels that were Venom, and then there were some levels where it made you switch between the two mid-level.
That's weird.
If they were in the same building, they would you would hit a door to change to a new room, but then it would flip to Venom. So it was a little bit interesting, but it did follow relatively the same plot.
Is it because I think the game is 70% Spider-Man and 30% Venom?
That's a pretty
it's mostly Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Is the DS version like that too, or is it more 50-50?
It's probably more 60-40.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
It's a 2D kind of action platformer. It's not a bad game, but it's not the console version. And to note, in case you're wondering, yes, the PC version and the console version is the same this time.
Oh, they figured that part out. That's good.
Yeah, they didn't give you some crappy. And I showed Frankie the video of the PC Spider-Man 2.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, it's a joke.
To my knowledge, there's no differences really between any of the consoles.
Maybe performance.
I personally played the Xbox version.
Yeah, I had the GameCube version.
I've had that copy of that game since 2005. It's still sitting on my shelf. So
yeah, I got Spider-Man 2 and Ultimate Spider-Man on their launch days.
Spider-Man 3 I got around launch. Yeah. That's gonna be
I have
because we technically have. Technically we have two games to talk about next time.
Well, you only played one of them. I've played both of them.
Yeah, I've played the
and I've already
better version.
Yeah, I've already told Frankie my story about the Wii version.
Yeah, so next time we're gonna. Which the fact that we're talking that negatively about it, and it's a 2-year. It's not just a year apart.
Yeah.
Next time we're going to be talking about the tie-in Spider-Man 3 game. We're finally counting the 3. So
yeah, see that it's not that hard, Valve.
Yeah, it's like, if Spider-Man can do it, you can do it too. Next time we meet, we'll be talking about Spider-Man 3, the second game in a row we're talking about a Venom game. Yay!
I don't want to talk about this one.
We have to do it.
We do, but I would prefer not to.
I understand, but anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be back soon for Spider-Man 3. Take care. Have a good one.